Democrats regain control of the U.S. Senate. The news broke after a second Republican in Georgia was defeated, shifting the balance of power in favor of the incoming Biden administration. For more on that, let's turn to Giles Gibson with Feature Story News in Washington. Giles, today's chaos notwithstanding this development, the Democrats' control of Congress means Joe Biden will have an easier time of it in his first 2 years.
That's right. As protesters were swarming all over the U.S. Capitol building, Democrats actually managed to seize back control of the U.S. Senate itself. We had these twin races going on in Georgia. David Perdue, the Republican incumbent, up against John Ossoff, the Democrat challenger. And the second race was the Republican incumbent Kelly Loeffler versus the Democrat challenger Raphael Warnock. Now, Warnock's race was actually called in favor of the Democrat in the early hours of Wednesday morning, but it was only as protesters were breaking into the U.S. Capitol over the last few hours that the second race was called in favor of John Ossoff, the Democrat. Now, why is this all so significant? What this means, the Democrats claiming these 2 Senate seats in Georgia, is that the balance of the Senate is now 50 seats for the Republicans and 50 seats for the Democrats. And because the Vice President of the United States gets the casting vote when the Senate is balanced on a knife edge like that, that means that Kamala Harris, when she becomes Vice President in just around 2 weeks' time, will be able to tip the balance of the Senate in favor of her party.
And every member of Congress counts. The 2 people who won in Georgia are interesting. John Ossoff is the youngest senator to be elected since Joe Biden. Ossoff is just 33 years old. He'll also be the first Jewish senator from Georgia. And the other winner is Raphael Warnock, and he will be Georgia's first black senator. How did he manage to defeat the incumbent Republican senator?
Yeah, Raphael Warnock is a 51-year-old preacher from Ebenezer Baptist Church, which actually happens to be a church where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. himself once preached several decades ago. Not only does Warnock become the first black senator for the state of Georgia, he's actually only the 11th African-American to be successfully elected to the U.S. Senate. What really drove Warnock over the line in this very tight race with Kelly Loeffler was a really strong turnout amongst black voters. You had these organizations like Fair Fight, the New Georgia Project, led by Stacey Abrams, of course, which really drove very high turnout in places like Atlanta, one of the major cities in Georgia. And you actually had black voters in Georgia who didn't vote back in the November presidential election being encouraged and turning out to vote in these 2 Senate races.
Giles Gibson with Feature Story News in Washington. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.